What's up guys, Eddie here with Get Set Go car reviews, and it's the first time in a long time. And the reason I have this smile is not only because I have the most gorgeous kittens sitting with me, which I'm not sure if this guy could fit in my pocket or not. Kind of. But it's because I'm going to be giving you guys a tour throughout the Tesla Model 3. This is not the first video you guys are going to watch and not the last one. So with respect to that, I had condensed this with as much information as I possibly can. And to keep this in perspective, I've had 3 weeks to make this video, and for some strange reason, I had to put it off to the very last day. It's kind of like when you're at Yosemite. You're at Yosemite, you're overlooking the Half Dome, and instead of pulling that phone out to take a picture, you're just kind of looking at it like, man, Mother Nature, Pachamama. That's the same thing about this car. It didn't make sense when I'm smiling and driving this car to pull out my camera and record everything that I like or dislike about the car. And again, talking about dislikes, there is a few things where this car could need some adjustment. And then in the other video that I made, you guys, I see that I actually locked myself out, and just by pure happenstance, there was a tow guy across the parking lot. But again, that's not the subject of this video. The subject of this video is that I compact so much data within these 10 or 15 minutes because my goal is for you guys not to hit another video unless you want to. You know, watching these videos are pretty fun, I'll admit. But I gave you guys a full-on walk around, what I think about the car in general, the interface, some of the things that it may need, in addition to a test drive, punching it, using autopilot. But I really would like to start with maybe where your concerns are, which is charging. Where to charge it if you don't have a charger at home, what's required to have a level 2 charger at home. Anyway, that's enough of me talking like this and me talking like that over there. All right, so the Tesla is very convenient, especially if you have a house where you can charge overnight, but it does become quite inconvenient if you have to drive to a Tesla supercharger. As you can see in this case, the supercharger was about maybe 15 to 20 minutes away. You did see other ones in that map as well that are closer. However, those are more like a trickle charge, and it's not going to charge the car as fast. So in my case, it was actually more convenient to drive all the way here to San Gabriel to take advantage of the supercharger as opposed to those little small ones, because those would probably take a little bit longer. Now, the cool thing about San Gabriel is that not only is there a lot of stalls available, but they also have a massive plaza. You know, there's a 99 Ranch Market that's very famous among the Asian community. There's a lot of Asian restaurants here you guys can check out. In addition to a boba spa, you can do an optometrist here. For me, I personally choose to just bring a skateboard just to kind of keep myself busy. As you guys can tell, I brought my Birkenstocks today, so there's not much tricks I can do besides these two here. And what most people don't know is that to supercharge your car, you do have to pay money for it. Such as this one in particular, you see it's 29 cents per kilowatt hour during the off times, but there is a peak time. And I want people to understand that if you charge during the day, where it's more busy, you are going to be expected to pay up to double. So as I could see here, 58 cents per kilowatt hour between 11 in the morning to 9 p.m. as opposed to overnight, it looks like it's at 29 cents. Again, idle fees are up to $1 a minute. So keep that in mind. Find out how long it's going to take to charge the car, so that way you're not paying that extra fee, because $1 a minute and you're there for another 30 minutes. Just imagine another $30 on top of what you already paid just to charge the car. As you guys can see, it was relatively quick. I only had about 30 miles to go. I went for a quick skate, and as you guys can tell, I took you guys on a tour of this place as well. And within just a few minutes, I'd say like maybe 10 to 15 minutes, I was able to get another 100 miles out of the Tesla supercharger. So again, it's very convenient, but if you do see how much I've paid for it, this is actually more than I typically pay, especially if it's overnight. In this case, it looks like I paid $16, and it looks like that was for about 30%, which again isn't too bad, but if it was during the off-peak hours, I probably would have paid no more than maybe $7. All right, everyone, so we're here at the best part about the Tesla Model 3. Really, electric cars in general. So look how easy it is just to drive. Talk about a car that really reduces the drag of driving through downtown Los Angeles. This car really just has it all. It really minimizes that driver fatigue, and you're not so landlocked. This really does reduce that driver fatigue that you normally would feel if you have to be towards the beach or downtown Los Angeles during the middle of the day. I have a great friend of mine. She lives out here in Northridge. Sometimes we either meet in, well, most of the times we meet in Santa Monica. And since I had the Tesla, I'm not so hesitant about meeting her in Santa Monica or all the way in Northridge, because I know with this autopilot, it's really gonna hook me up driving back home. So the way to activate it is if you push down twice, 1, 2, it says keep your hands on the steering wheel, but at this point, you can just go freely wheelie for the most part. Again, what you see down here, it says auto steer speed is restricted to 80 miles an hour. So for the most part, autopilot works up to 80 miles an hour. Anything beyond that, you'd have to use your hands and your feet to, you know, take control of the car. Quite frankly, we're just going straight. So let me add this clip in of the other day when I was driving through downtown Los Angeles. I feel like that would really add value and really sell you on the auto steer system. So right now, foot is off the pedals, hands off the steering wheel. It's picking up cones on the right side, picking up people out in front of me as well. And we are driving through downtown Los Angeles all throughout this traffic. And honestly, I'm not really feeling the fatigue, and I'm not really discouraged. Now it says put some light force on the steering wheel. What I typically do is I just wiggle it around a little bit, and that's enough to clear that section here. Now this part right here is sketchy. As you guys can tell, there is some people coming. This does merge, so let's see how it handles this. Okay, we barely missed these people here. Let's keep going, Tesla. Good job, Tesla, I'm proud of you. Okay, apply light force. Here we go. Check that out, guys. Anyway, now that we're here, let's check out some of the views. This is some of the parts where I think it's sketchy though. As you guys can see, it starts splitting. So sometimes it doesn't know its lane. That's why if I do autopilot, I'd like to mainly drive, or use it rather, in the center lanes, because it sometimes gets lost when you're out in the outer lanes or that lane over there. Sometimes it doesn't pick up the lanes, or sometimes the lanes are kind of spread out open. But again, my foot is still off the pedals and my hands are still off the steering wheel, at least for now, until it asks me to put more pressure. Okay. So we're still going. Let's put up, oh, there you go, look. So when you know you need to put your hands on is when that blue thing comes up, or purple. I'm actually colorblind. So I'm only going 50 miles an hour, and the way to raise that up is by going here, rolling this up. The maximum is actually 80 miles an hour. As you guys can see, auto steer speed at 80 miles an hour. So auto steer can't go past 80 miles an hour. Again, this is where it gets sketchy, so I'm gonna take over, go on this side, and then we're gonna hit it again. So I hope it slows down, because I'm gonna put my hand on here because this part's sketchy. Oh, very close, awfully close. I'm still hands off, hands off. Oh, so sketchy. Okay, anyway, let's bring the speed back up. You guys can see up there, the speed's going back up. We're at the 80, and it says auto steer speed restricted to 80 miles an hour. Okay, and we're still going. Foot still off the pedal, hands still off the steering wheel. Here's what we got. System happy, but look at all this here. It just tells you what's on the left of you, what's on the right of you, whether it's a cone. Like a lot of the things that it picks up, I don't even realize that's there. Again, foot is off the pedal, and what you guys are gonna see right now is that it's gonna brake right here. And if I'm willing to do this when there's essentially a $150,000 or $200,000 car in front of me, there should be enough of a reason for you guys to be able to trust the system as well. You see this? So it picked up the Porsche 911 Carrera in front of us, and it's picking up the van. You know, the truth is, they're probably looking at us, but Essentially, it's showing you exactly what's to the left of you, what's to the right of you, what's in front of you. So very seldomly you have to look over to the left or the right to see if there's any blind spot. And if you do, again, there's this camera that shows you exactly who's there, what's there. So again, this is a really cool feature, especially in very tight parking spaces where you can't see essentially what's to the left or the right of you. Okay, very quick, I'll give you guys a quick walk around of the car. I know this is not the first one you guys see, nor will it be the last one you guys would see. So I'm gonna make this relatively quick. As you guys can see, all the lines are meant to go with the wind rather than against it. There's no fake vents, none of that stuff. Especially in the front, you see it's all one piece here. That is very good for the aerodynamics of the car. And for the aerodynamics, here is the aerodynamics down here in the bottom right corner. Very nice there. As you guys know, there's cameras all throughout the car, left side, right side, here on the B pillar as well. All throughout this car. There's one in the back, there's one in the front. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. This one here is the dual motor, so it's an all-wheel drive. As far as performances, it's between the performance mode and also the rear-wheel drive mode. This one has a 0 to 60 of 4.2 seconds, but it feels much quicker than that just because of the instant torque. You don't have to wait for the revs to go all the way up. It's immediately. What Tesla gives you is essentially a card. Now this is a credit card. You could use your phone, but since this is a rental, I don't have access to that. What I do have access to though is, again, this card. It's a credit card. Usually doesn't come in this casing, but again, this is a rental. What I was always confused was I always used to put it up here, and I noticed that it would take forever to open it. As you can see, if I did this, it's gonna say tap card to unlock. Now the thing is, you don't tap it here, you actually tap it down there. So what's going to happen is it unfolds the mirrors. That's when you know you essentially unlock the car. I wish it had the feature like the Ioniq 5 where it actually opens the handles by itself, but in this case you still have to push it and pull it. Or you could also just punch it here and then it pulls open. Again, punch it here, unlocks, and then you just open it. Now going into the door panel here, you see a very minimalist design, but you see a lot of contrast, which is what I like. Again, it's simple, yet it's very subtle. Like you see this, feels like an Alcantara wood grain along here. This is a brushed nickel along there. Leatherette stitching. Again, this is vegan leather, which I'm very happy they did instead of going with full-on leather. Here you have enough space for a bottle and, in my case, air comb, right? But yeah, very cool here. All these are auto up, auto down, and again, to open the door you just press the button and push it out. And I absolutely love the design in here. I love the approach, again, that Tesla has taken. They reduce the amount of buttons, and whatever is essential is whatever is essential. Now the interface is pretty cool. However, because you reduce the amount of buttons in the car, you have to go through all these tabs and really get to know the car. For some of this is, you know, very minor things. You'd have to like go through tabs and this tab and open that one. But once you get used to it, it is pretty upfront. However, for me though, I had the heated steering wheel on for such a long time. I mean, like maybe 3 to 4 days. And as you guys can tell, it's been very hot here in Southern California. So look at that. It's 89 degrees. So imagine me driving around already sweating with a heated steering wheel. That was no fun. But anyway, this one here, you see this is the volume tab here. So up and down there. You can change the track by pushing it left, pushing it right. Right here you have the cruise control feature, which is pretty cool. And then if you press to the right, press to the left, here's what it does. It actually manages the distance. So whether you want to be 2 car distances in front of you or 3 car distances, just to be safe. For the most part, I keep it in 2 because again, here in Los Angeles, if there's more than enough space in front of you, you will get cut off. But anyway, back to the actual design of the car. Here's what we got. A beautiful layout. Again, this massive screen. You also have this phone pad down here, which makes it very convenient if you have a call coming in or a text message, and it also serves as a charger as well. Okay, again, this is not a really quick charge, but it will get it up to speed, more like a trickle charge, which again, I just prefer to leave it on there. It's just a really nice place to have the phone. Right here you have a massive storage, actually. As you guys can tell, look at the mess I have here. It permits it because there's so much space in here. What you get right here is essentially your cup holders, but just the layout of this car. If I just leave this here, what you guys would notice is that there's nothing interfering with each other. Phone's all the way over there. There's no way it's gonna move anywhere around. This right here, you keep everything in storage, you know, face cream, Danish that I just threw in there, extra cup, and maybe some cologne as what I got right here. What I really want to emphasize is essentially how easy the full layout is. Nothing's clashing with each other. You're not putting your elbows on the drinks as in most cars, you know, it's all cramped. And then you have this huge pad that you can rest your elbow onto. And if I open it again, this thing is deep. It is super deep. You know, I had a full-on drink in there. As you guys can tell with the glove compartment, there's no button or quick release or really anything like that. What you'd have to do is come all the way onto this side, bottom left corner, hit the car icon, and then you'd find that right here. Now the cool thing is you can actually set up a pin. And so it's super secure. You can leave this behind with a valet and trust that nothing's gonna get looked through because you have the pin there as well. Okay, now moving on to the back, here's what we got. But here we are going onto the back seat. You press in it here. You don't have that same feature as the front. But again, what you could do is pull on here, yank this thing across. Going into the door panel, which you again see is the same thing that happens in the front, and a little speaker on this side. Enough space for it looks like a document there. Stepping into the back seat, what you see is a very stylish and actually very intricate seating here. Before it was more flat, more plain, I guess you'd say, but they added a lot of this stitching, a lot of this padding as well, and it looks really nice. I mean, just look at all the lines on the rear seat. Now jumping on in, what you guys would see is that there's a lot of space back here. There's no transmission, there's no tunnel or drivetrain really that runs through the back. There's essentially an electric motor in front that powers the two front wheels, and there's also an electric motor that runs the back two wheels as well. So that's why you have all this space. So essentially the middle passenger would be just as comfortable as the side passengers as well. Again, look at the space that runs all underneath that as well. Next thing I want to talk about is right up here, right? You got that panoramic sunroof that Tesla is really well known for. Again, I wish they'd opened up, but for the most part, the front ones are more tinted than the rear ones. So the rear ones, the passengers are going to be really able to enjoy that sun if that's what they choose to do. Also, what I just noticed is that there's cup holders here. There's two cup holders in front with bottle holders on the side. So that's 4 cups, 2 bottles of full-on storage. I wish I would have told my little sister she can keep her drinks back here. What I would have preferred Tesla had done was make this a full-on hatchback as opposed to a fastback with a trunk, just because of the storage feature. You could put more stuff in there, but nevertheless, let's move on to the back. So luckily this Tesla is equipped with the power rear trunk. As you guys can tell, there's a lot of space back here. Again, skateboard not included, nor is a Fedora ever included in these purchase these cars. There's also another space right here. Never really quite was able to figure out what it's really for, but again, you got that space right there. You also have a hidden compartment right off in this side. Again, this is where you see the home charger, which didn't really work well for me. Again, this is rear power gate. So you press the button, it closes itself. Now, the next feature I want to show you guys is off in front. And the way you pop it, if you don't have the phone, just go off into the front. Boom, look at what you guys here. It looks like it's enough space for essentially a carry-on, but what I essentially have here is a 2-dome tent. Again, a tent for 2 people, yoga mat, little pillow. I did a sound bath, you know, and that was actually pretty unique to have in a bottle. So again, it fits all that pretty neat as well. Looks like you have a tow hitch right here in the front. If it ever gets to that point, maybe you run out of charge or maybe you get a flat tire. Boom, and let's close this up. Now, before I move on from design, I really want to point out really the vents here. These are actually the air conditioning vents, but you see a little crevice here and also a slit there. Now, what it essentially does, if you were to see right here, you're able to fully adjust this to go up, see that? Go all the way down, and then split it across. So you could split it go up, which is a feature I didn't know about until I was like, had to figure it out. Look, it's 96 degrees already, everybody. 96 degrees. It's hot. All right, everyone, we're officially driving outside of the parking lot, so everyone can stop thinking I'm some sort of weirdo or something. What I want to point out is how well insulated the car is. There's not a lot of outside noise that actually creeps into the cabin, which is really an incredible feature, especially if you're daily driving, you're taking the family out. You really don't want to be distracted by so much outside noise. You know, all those decibels, if you live by the airplane, or if you're driving in a very loud city with a lot of honking, that can create stress. So driving a car like the Tesla, where it's so insulated and so quiet, I mean, that in itself is a reason to really buy the car, in my opinion. But that also leads into a problem, not noticing how fast you're driving, because again, the suspension in this car feels really good. Actually, you'd be surprised how well this car drives. And so again, there's comfort, standard, and sport. Now, these aren't just gimmicks. I don't know what electronic steering or whatever this case is, but I feel that every race car should have this, because it does magic. I mean, believe it or not, the first time I drove the car, first corner I hit, I might or might not have hit the curb because I didn't expect the car to handle so well. I think that might be the case because it has a very low center of gravity, because all the electric batteries are planted on the car, again, underneath the car. And I believe that's the reason why this car is able to handle so well, because again, the batteries are underneath, and again, the system that they got is just insane. What's funny to me is that in Los Angeles, you think the brakes are the best feature for safety, but really speed, because with this car you can get yourself in and you can get yourself out of these situations like without a problem. Now here's what we got. We're gonna do a 0 to 60 live, okay? 1, 2, 3, go! $60, boom! I know it might be a little bit off, but for the most part, we're at 4.78 seconds. I think there was a delay in me hitting it, but for the most part, dude, that's fast. It feels a lot faster just because you got that instant torque kicking in. There's no other way for me to explain instant torque than doing these little sound effects. So you guys will probably see me snapping fingers, slapping and punching just to express how quick this car really is. But besides that, besides performance, let's talk about just how easy it is to drive this car. We got this whole screen here that not only tells you whether it's green light, red light, that tells you whether there's a pedestrian, it tells you the entirety of your blind spots, whether it's a semi-truck, a sedan, a coupe, it just has so much information, and it makes it so easy to drive. It just, you know, I have a friend that stays up in Northridge, and just how easy it is for me to just say yes to her and drive back through traffic. Like, there's very minimal driving fatigue, especially with autopilot. You know, if you guys get this car, yeah, you know, if you can't budget the autopilot, at least have a plan to budget it eventually and to get that packet upgrade, just because it pays for itself. Like, if you think about it, where can you pay someone $6,000 to drive the car for you, or to tell you, hey, slow down, or to throw in that emergency braking? Like, that's priceless. You know, or we all get distracted. Like, I'm super ADHD, if you guys haven't figured that out already. If you look down at a text, or if you see a car of a color that you see, you really, I mean, all it takes is a split second. You know, I forget what the statistic is, but if you look away for a couple seconds, that's equivalent to about 50 feet or something if you're going at a certain mile per hour. Again, I'm not going to get too into it, but what I'm trying to say is that all it takes is a couple seconds of you looking away or being distracted for a split second for something really bad to happen in front of you.
All right, everyone. So as you can tell, I absolutely love the Tesla Model 3. And I really encourage that if this is within your budget, to at least give it a test drive. I don't believe that it's really matching up to what the current prices are. You know, I've seen many with 50,000 miles going as high as $60,000. Now, at $35,000, this car is a steal. But once you start getting into the 50s, I do believe there are other cars you should consider besides the Tesla Model 3 now. But with all things considered, the Tesla Model 3 is one spectacular car. And once again, you should consider it. If you guys like this video, make sure to follow up with the next one that's coming out, talking about the, I think it's 7 things that I don't like about the Tesla Model 3. All right, guys, until next time, take care.